Hello, family and friends, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Shauna, and thanks for being here today on this marvelous Monday. I hope you're having a marvelous day so far, and if not, I sure hope it gets better, my friends. Well, let's say a really quick prayer, and then we'll talk about our reading for today. Lord, thank you for every single soul who can hear my voice. Please give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to gain some insight from your text, the Holy Bible. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, friends. Well, today we are continuing in the Gospels. We will be covering some passages in Mark and Luke today and Matthew. So our reading starts with Mark chapter 5, 1 through 20. And in that passage, you'll find Jesus heals an unclean man who hangs out in the tombs. He's possessed by demons. And everyone in the town, they know of him and they're afraid of him. He's been bound with chains and shackles before and he got out of them. So, when you're possessed by demons, I can imagine subhuman strength or superhuman strength. Yeah, there's powerful spirits. And Jesus walked upon them and told them to come out of that man. And before he did that, he said, "What is your name?" And he said, "Legion," because a legion of demons was in him. And so he cast out the demons and they entered in this herd of pigs. And I'm sure a lot of you find this story very familiar. The herd of pigs ran off the cliff and drowned in the waters below. And of course, Jesus's fame spread because imagine everybody knows the crazy man who hangs out in the tombs, and now all of a sudden he's healed of his demons. And when they go and see all these dead pigs in the water, that story went around really fast. And so our next reading, Matthew 8, is a repeat of that story, as is Luke chapter 8, 26 through 39. But also, I wrote down, the people told Jesus, "Depart from us." So instead of these people being happy and astonished and admiring Jesus for this miracle, they were afraid and they asked Jesus, "Please leave our town, get out of here. You're coming in here stirring up trouble. We was perfectly fine with our crazy man who dwelt near the tombs." Crazy, right? Moving ahead, Mark chapter 5, reading 21 through 43, Jesus heals Jairus' daughter. So one of the rulers of the synagogue, his daughter was actually dead. And Jesus told her, "Rise up, daughter." He woke her up after being dead. And also he's going to heal a woman with the issue of blood, another very famous story in the Bible. Matthew chapter 9, 18 through 26 is a repeat of that, of the raising of the daughter and the healing of the woman with the issue of blood. But I also wrote down, Jesus said, "Take heart, my daughter, your faith has made you well," because the woman with the issue of blood touched his garment and Jesus perceived some power leaving him. And he said, "Who touched me?" And his disciples said, "How are we supposed to know? All these people hanging out around you. How can we tell who touched you?" And she came forward and she wept and she told him the story, how she's been seeking doctor after doctor. 12 years she's had this affliction, and she knew that if she could just touch the hem of his garment, she would be healed. And Jesus said, "You are healed because your faith healed you." Wow. And then with Jairus' daughter, he told the people, "Get out of here," because they were weeping and mourning and playing the death song on the flute. And Jesus said to them, "She's not dead, she's just sleeping." And they laughed at him. They did not believe. And so Jesus, I wrote down, "Talitha kume," which means, "Child, arise." And she stood up and walked. And Jesus said, "Now somebody come and feed this child." She was 12 years old, around 12 years old. So a very interesting read today. Like I said, both stories are probably pretty familiar to you. They're pretty famous stories in the Bible. And so that's what our video will be of today. Yes, I prepared a video for you. I hope you like it. Before you go, however, I have a couple of birthdays. I saw a famous birthday showed up on my timeline today. Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's turned 67. Happy birthday, starry-eyed man. I always enjoy his teachings. He's a very famous scientist. And then Annie Jewel Moore, she is the oldest living graduate of the Spelman College at a whopping 106 years old. I was like, what? So of course I had to shout that out. Happy birthday, Queen Annie Jewel Moore. And lastly, one of my dear friends from my homeland, Squeak. Hey, Squeaky. Happy birthday, my dear. Her real name is Altina, but we fondly called her Squeak forever. I be forgetting what her real name is. You know how that is when someone have a nickname. You're like, what's their real name again? Happy birthday, Squeaky. All right, my friends, go and enjoy the rest of your marvelous Monday. After all, it's proof we survived the weekend. That's always good. Be blessed, and if God allows, come back tomorrow so we can read again. Bye. Mark chapter 5. They came to the other side of the sea, to the country of the Gerasenes. And when Jesus had stepped out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. He lived among the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain, for he had often been bound with shackles and chains, but he wrenched the chains apart, and he broke the shackles in pieces. No one had the strength to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and on the mountains, he was always crying out and cutting himself with stones. And when he saw Jesus from afar, he ran and fell down before him, and crying out with a loud voice, he said, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I adjure you by God, do not torment me." For he was saying to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." And Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" He replied, "My name is Legion, for we are many." And he begged him earnestly not to send them out of the country. Now a great herd of pigs was feeding there on the hillside, and they begged him, saying, "Send us to the pigs, let us enter them." So he gave them permission, and the unclean spirits came out and entered the pigs, and the herd, numbering about 2,000, rushed down the steep bank into the sea and drowned in the sea. The herdsmen fled and told it in the city and in the country, and people came to see what it was that had happened. And they came to Jesus and saw the demon-possessed man, the one who had had the legion, sitting there, clothed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. And those who had seen it described to them what had happened to the demon-possessed man and to the pigs. And they began to beg Jesus to depart from their region. As he was getting into the boat, the man who had been possessed with the demons begged him that he might be with him. And he did not permit him, but said to him, "Go home to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you, and how he has had mercy on you." And he went away and began to proclaim in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and everyone marveled. Matthew 8, verse 28. And when he came to the other side, to the country of the Gadarenes, 2 demon-possessed men met him, coming out of the tombs, so fierce that no one could pass that way. And behold, they cried out, "What have you to do with us, O Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time?" Now a herd of many pigs was feeding at some distance from them, and the demons begged him, saying, "If you cast us out, send us away into the herd of pigs." And he said to them, "Go." So they came out and went into the pigs, and behold, the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the sea and drowned in the waters. The herdsmen fled, and going into the city, they told everything, especially what had happened to the demon-possessed men. And behold, all the city came out to meet Jesus, and when they saw him, they begged him to leave their region. Luke 8:26. Then they sailed to the country of the Gerasenes, which is opposite Galilee. When Jesus had stepped out on land, there met him a man from the city who had demons. For a long time he had worn no clothes, and he had not lived in a house, but among the tombs. When he saw Jesus, he cried out and fell down before him and said with a loud voice, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, do not torment me." For he had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man. For many a time it had seized him. He was kept under guard and bound with chains and shackles, but he would break the bonds and be driven by the demon into the desert. Jesus then asked him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Legion," for many demons had entered him. And they begged him not to command them to depart into the abyss. Now a large herd of pigs was feeding there on the hillside, and they begged him to let them enter these. So he gave them permission. Then the demons came out of the man and entered the pigs, and the herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and drowned. When the herdsmen saw what had happened, they fled and told it in the city and in the country. Then people went out to see what had happened, and they came to Jesus and found the man from whom the demons had gone sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed in his right mind, and they were afraid. And those who had seen it told them how the demon-possessed man had been healed. Then all the people of the surrounding country of the Gerasenes asked him to depart from them, for they were seized with great fear. So he got into the boat and returned. The man from whom the demons had gone begged that he might be with him, but Jesus sent him away, saying, "Return to your home and declare how much God has done for you." And he went away, proclaiming throughout the whole city how much Jesus had done for him. Mark 5:21. And when Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a great crowd gathered about him, and he was beside the sea. Then came one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name, and seeing him, he fell at his feet and implored him earnestly, saying, "My little daughter is at the point of death. Come and lay hands on her so that she may be made well and live." And he went with him. And a great crowd followed him and thronged about him. And there was a woman who had had a discharge of blood for 12 years, and who had suffered much under many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and was no better, but rather grew worse. She had heard the reports about Jesus, and came up behind him in the crowd, and touched his garment. For she said, "If I touch even his garments, I will be made well." And immediately the flow of blood dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. And Jesus, perceiving in himself that power had gone out from him, immediately turned about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my garments?" And his disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing around you, and yet you say, 'Who touched me?'" And he looked around to see who had done it. But the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling, and fell down before him, and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease." While he was still speaking, there came from the ruler's house some who said, "Your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further?" But overhearing what they said, Jesus said to the ruler of the synagogue, "Do not fear, only believe." And he allowed no one to follow him except Peter and James and John, the brother of James. They came to the house of the ruler of the synagogue, and Jesus saw a commotion, people weeping and wailing loudly. And when he had entered, he said to them, "Why are you making a commotion and weeping? The child is not dead, but sleeping." And they laughed at him. But he put them all outside and took the child's father and mother and those who were with him and went in where the child was. Taking her by the hand, he said to her, "Talitha cumi," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, arise." And immediately the girl got up and began walking, for she was 12 years of age. And they were immediately overcome with amazement. And he strictly charged them that no one should know this, and told them to give her something to eat. Matthew 9:18. While he was saying these things to them, behold, a ruler came in and knelt before him, saying, "My daughter has just died, but come and lay your hand on her, and she will live." And Jesus rose and followed him with his disciples. And behold, a woman who had suffered from a discharge of blood for 12 years came up behind him and touched the fringe of his garment. For she said to herself, "If I only touch his garment, I will be made well." Jesus turned, and seeing her, he said, "Take heart, daughter, your faith has made you well." And instantly the woman was made well. And when Jesus came to the ruler's house and saw the flute players and the crowd making a commotion, he said, "Go away, for the girl is not dead, but sleeping." And they laughed at him. But when the crowd had been put outside, he went in and took her by the hand, and the girl arose. And the report of this went through all that district. Luke 8:40. Now when Jesus returned, the crowd welcomed him, for they were all waiting for him. And there came a man named Jairus, who was a ruler of the synagogue, and falling at Jesus' feet, he implored him to come to his house, for he had an only daughter, about 12 years of age, and she was dying. As Jesus went, the people pressed around him, and there was a woman who had had a discharge of blood for 12 years, and though she had spent all her living on physicians, she could not be healed by anyone. She came up behind him and touched the fringe of his garment, and immediately her discharge of blood ceased. And Jesus said, "Who was it that touched me?" When all denied it, Peter said, "Master, the crowds surround you and are pressing in on you." But Jesus said, "Someone touched me, for I perceive that power has gone out from me." And when the woman saw that she was not hidden, she came trembling, and falling down before him, declared in the presence of all the people why she had touched him, and how she had been immediately healed. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace." While he was still speaking, someone from the ruler's house came and said, "Your daughter is dead. Do not trouble the teacher anymore." But Jesus, on hearing this, answered him, "Do not fear, only believe, and she will be well." And when he came to the house, he allowed no one to enter with him except Peter and John and James, and the father and mother of the child. And all were weeping and mourning for her. But he said, "Do not weep, for she is not dead, but sleeping." And they laughed at him, knowing that she was dead. But taking her by the hand, he called, saying, Child, arise. And her spirit returned, and she got up at once. And he directed that something should be given her to eat. And her parents were amazed, but he charged them to tell no one what had happened.